I dropped off my son's laptop for repair. The technician asked, "Ma'am, do you trust your family?" He showed me the messages. I went home, emptied every account they depended on. What they did next was pure panic. My name is Caroline Mitchell, and what I'm about to share with you isn't some dramatic fiction. This happened to me 6 months ago in Portland, Oregon, and it nearly destroyed everything I'd spent 43 years building. But before I tell you how my own family tried to rob me blind, I want to know, where are you watching from? Drop your state or country in the comments. I need to know I'm not alone in this, that someone out there understands what it feels like when the people you die for become strangers overnight. It started on a Tuesday morning in March. My son Nathan's laptop had been running slow for weeks. He's 26, still living at home while he figures things out, something that's been going on for 3 years now. The laptop was a gift I'd bought him for his birthday, top of the line because I believed in him. I believed in all of them. Nathan had left for his part-time job at the sporting goods store, complaining about the laptop freezing again. I offered to take it to TechFix Solutions, a small repair shop on Morrison Street that my friend Barbara had recommended. Nathan hesitated, which should have been my first warning sign, but he eventually agreed. He was running late, and I insisted. The shop smelled like coffee and circuit boards. A young technician named Marcus greeted me, probably in his early 30s, with kind eyes and an easy smile. I explained the problem, handed over the laptop, and expected to hear about viruses or memory issues. Marcus took it to the back. I browsed through phone cases, thinking about maybe treating myself to something new. My Samsung was 2 years old, still perfectly functional, but sometimes you just want something fresh, you know? 15 minutes passed. Then Marcus emerged from the back room, and his expression had changed completely. The easy smile was gone. He looked uncomfortable, maybe even a little scared. "Ma'am," he said quietly, glancing around though we were the only ones in the shop. "I need to show you something. But first, I have to ask you a question, and I need you to be honest with yourself when you answer." My heart started beating faster. "Okay. Do you trust your family?" The question hit me like cold water. What kind of question is that? Of course I do. What's going on? Marcus set the laptop on the counter between us, angling it so only I could see the screen. The issue wasn't technical. The laptop is fine. But when I ran the diagnostics, I noticed some unusual activity. Browser history, recently accessed files. "Ma'am, I think you need to see this." He opened a folder, then another. Then he pulled up an email thread. My hands started shaking before I even finished reading the first message. My son Nathan's words, my daughter-in-law, Jessica's responses, my daughter Melissa's enthusiastic agreements, all of them, planning, calculating, discussing me like I was already dead. How long until she signs it over? We need to move faster. She's healthy, could live another 20 years. The power of attorney is the key. Once we have that, I couldn't breathe. Marcus pulled over a chair and I collapsed into it, my eyes glued to the screen as he scrolled through months of conversation. They had a group chat. They'd named it Future Plans. My stomach turned at the casualness of it all, as if they were discussing a vacation instead of dismantling my life. Jessica had written, "Caroline's retirement account is worth $340,000. Plus, the house is paid off. That's another $425,000 in equity. The life insurance policy is $200,000. We're talking close to $1 million. $1 million. They'd calculated my worth like I was livestock. Melissa responded, "She won't give us access willingly. We tried asking for help with the down payment, remember? She said no, said we needed to build our own financial foundation." Nathan chimed in, "That's why we need the POA. If we can convince her she's getting forgetful, show some concern about her managing things alone, we can get her to sign. Then we control everything." My daughter's next message made me physically ill. She's been forgetting little things lately. Left the stove on once, couldn't remember where she parked at the grocery store. We can use that. Make her think it's worse than it is. I hadn't forgotten where I parked. They'd moved my car. I remembered now. I'd come out of the store, confused about the spot, and Nathan had been there, helping me find it. He'd moved it while I shopped. It was deliberate. A setup. The messages went back 7 months. 7 months of plotting, manipulating, staging incidents to make me doubt myself. The milk that kept appearing expired in my fridge even though I'd just bought it. They'd been replacing it with old cartons. The pills I thought I'd missed taking, they'd been removing them from my organizer. The appointment I'd supposedly forgotten, they'd changed the calendar on my phone. I found something else, Marcus said softly. He pulled up a document. It was a draft power of attorney form, already filled out with my information, forged signature at the bottom. They'd been practicing. Another document. A letter to my doctor, supposedly from me, expressing concerns about my memory. They were building a paper trail. "There's more," Marcus continued, his voice tight. He showed me browser history. They'd been researching elder care facilities. Nathan had bookmarked 3 nursing homes, all with memory care units. The most recent search was from 2 days ago. How to declare parent mentally incompetent. I sat in that repair shop for an hour, reading through every file Marcus found. They'd divided up my possessions in a spreadsheet. Nathan wanted my car and the art collection. Melissa claimed the jewelry and furniture. Jessica had her eye on my mother's china set. They'd planned when to sell the house, immediately after securing the POA before I could realize what was happening. They'd even calculated property taxes and realtor fees. The last message in the thread was from that morning, from Nathan. "Mom's taking the laptop in today. Make sure all the files are moved to the cloud tonight. Can't risk her seeing anything." But he'd forgotten, or gotten lazy. The files were still there, waiting to destroy him. Marcus looked at me with genuine sympathy. "Ma'am, I had to show you. I have elderly parents myself. I couldn't let this happen to you." I drove home in a fog, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. Marcus had copied everything to a flash drive for me. Evidence. Undeniable, cold evidence of my family's betrayal. 20 minutes. That's how long the drive took. But my entire world had shifted. I kept seeing their faces in my mind. Nathan's easy laugh at dinner last week. Melissa's hug when she'd stopped by with fresh flowers. "Just thinking of you, Mom." Jessica's concern when she'd asked if I was taking my vitamins. Every gesture now felt contaminated, rotted from the inside. The house was empty when I arrived. Nathan wouldn't be home for hours. I sat at my kitchen table, the same table where we'd shared thousands of meals, and I let myself feel it. The rage, the heartbreak, the humiliation of being so blind. But I didn't cry. Something harder than grief was forming in my chest. They wanted to declare me incompetent. They wanted to take everything I'd worked for since I was 23 years old, scraping by on a receptionist's salary after their father left. I'd raised them alone, put myself through night school to become a paralegal while they slept, worked double shifts to afford their college funds, gone without so I could give them everything. And this was my repayment. A spreadsheet dividing up my assets. No, they'd miscalculated badly. I opened my laptop and started making calls. First to Linda Rodriguez, an attorney I'd worked with for 15 years at the firm. She listened to everything, her silence growing heavier with each detail. "Caroline," she finally said, "this is elder abuse. Financial exploitation. You could press charges." "I want to do more than that," I told her. "I want to make sure they never see a penny. Can you meet me today?" We met at her office at 4 o'clock. I brought the flash drive. Linda reviewed everything, her expression shifting from shock to cold professional anger. "Here's what we're going to do," she said, pulling out a legal pad. "First, we secure everything, every account, every asset. Then we document their attempts at manipulation. The moved car, the expired milk, the calendar changes. We create a timeline. This isn't just about protecting your money, Caroline. This is about protecting other potential victims. If they do this to you, they'd do it to anyone." We worked until 8 that night, building a strategy. Linda drafted new estate documents, removing Nathan, Melissa, and Jessica entirely. My assets would go to charity. Every penny I'd earned would fund scholarships for single mothers trying to finish their education. Women like I'd been, struggling and scared, but fighting anyway. But that wasn't enough. I wanted them to feel what I felt. I wanted them to understand that actions have consequences. There's something else I need to do, I told Linda. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to empty every account they know about. Transfer everything they think they're getting. I want them to watch their future plans evaporate. Linda raised an eyebrow. That's aggressive. They tried to steal my life. I'm taking back control. She nodded slowly. Then let's make sure we do it right. Legally bulletproof. When this is over, they won't have a single crack to slip through. Wednesday morning, I woke up at 5 a.m. with absolute clarity. I dressed carefully. The navy pantsuit I wore to important meetings, the pearl earrings my mother left me. If I was going to dismantle my children's scheme, I'd do it looking like the competent, sharp woman I'd always been. By 6 o'clock, I was at my bank when the doors opened. Sharon, my personal banker for 12 years, greeted me with her usual warm smile. "Caroline, early start today. How can I help you?" "I need to make some major transfers," I said, sliding into the chair across from her desk. "All of my accounts. I'm moving everything." Sharon's smile faltered slightly. "Everything? May I ask why?" I'd prepared for this. "I'm restructuring my estate planning. New attorney, new strategy. I need liquid access to all my funds." It took 3 hours. We moved $340,000 from my retirement account into a new account at a different bank, one my children knew nothing about. My savings account, another $87,000, followed. The checking account that Nathan had access to for emergencies. I left exactly $500 in it and moved the remaining $12,000. "I need to close the joint account with Nathan," I told Sharon. "That requires his signature unless there's suspicious activity. I have evidence he's been planning to drain it fraudulently." I showed her the screenshots from Marcus's flash drive. Her face went pale. The account was frozen within 15 minutes pending investigation. Nathan's access was revoked. The $23,000 in that account was transferred to my new private holdings. Next, I visited my investment firm. Robert, my financial advisor, was harder to convince. "Caroline, moving this much money at once. Are you sure? The tax implications?" "I'm 70 years old, Robert. How much longer am I supposed to wait to access my own money? Besides, I'm not cashing out. I'm moving to another firm with better terms." Another lie, but a necessary one. By noon, every stock, every bond, every investment I owned was in motion. $180,000 in various holdings, all being consolidated into accounts my family couldn't touch. I had lunch alone at a small cafe downtown, eating a Caesar salad I couldn't taste. My phone sat on the table, silent. Nathan would be at work. Melissa would be at her dental practice. Neither of them knew yet that their future had just disappeared. At 2 o'clock, I met with my insurance agent and changed the beneficiaries on my life insurance policy. The $200,000 death benefit that was going to be split between Nathan and Melissa now went entirely to the Oregon Women's Foundation. "This is a significant change," my agent noted. "Your children are adults who can take care of themselves," I finished. "This is my decision." By 5 p.m., I'd secured everything. Nearly $1 million moved, hidden, protected. I'd also stopped by 3 banks and opened new accounts using my mother's maiden name, Thompson. Caroline Thompson. A woman my children didn't know how to find. I drove home and started dinner like nothing had happened. Pot roast, Nathan's favorite. The smell filled the house as he walked in at 6:30. "Hey, Mom," he called out, tossing his keys on the counter. "Something smells amazing." I smiled at him from the kitchen. "Just wanted to make something special. How was your day?" Nathan had no idea he was eating his last comfortable meal. I watched him across the table laughing about some customer at work, and I felt nothing. No maternal warmth, no affection, just cold observation, like studying a stranger. "Mom, you okay?" he asked, noticing my stare. "You seem distracted." "Actually, honey, I wanted to talk to you about something." I set down my fork carefully. "I've been thinking about what you said last month, about me maybe needing some help managing things." His eyes lit up, actually lit up, like Christmas morning. "Really? I mean, I think that's smart, Mom. You know I only suggested it because I care." "I know you do." The lie tasted like metal. "I've been forgetting things lately. It worries me." "It worries us too," he said, leaning forward with fake concern. "Jessica and I have been talking about it, and Melissa's noticed stuff too." Of course they had, because they'd orchestrated it all. "I think I might need help with my finances," I continued, watching his face. "Maybe someone should have access to my accounts, just in case." Nathan tried to suppress his excitement and almost succeeded. "That's really mature of you, Mom. To recognize when you need support, I'd be happy to help, or we could get Melissa involved too." "Let me think about it," I said. "It's a big decision. I want to make sure I do it right." Of course. No rush." But there was hunger in his eyes, greed barely contained. We finished dinner. He helped with dishes, whistling, probably already spending my money in his head. After he went upstairs, I heard him on the phone. "She's ready," he said, voice muffled through the ceiling. "Yeah, she brought it up herself. Probably a week, maybe less. We just need to act concerned, but not pushy." I stood in my kitchen, listening to my son plot my financial destruction, and I felt that cold rage crystallize into something sharper: purpose. Thursday morning, Melissa stopped by unannounced. She did this sometimes, always with an excuse: borrowed Tupperware to return, a magazine she thought I'd like. Checking on me, making sure I was still vulnerable. "Mom," she hugged me tightly, "I was thinking about you this morning, wanted to see your face." "That's sweet, honey. Want some coffee?" We sat in the living room and she started her routine. "So, Mom, I wanted to ask, have you thought any more about letting someone help you with bills and stuff? I know Nathan mentioned it." "He did," I said carefully. "I'm considering it." "Good. That's so good." She squeezed my hand. "We just want you safe and taken care of. You've done so much for us. It's our turn." The performance was flawless. If I hadn't seen those messages, I'd have believed every word. "Actually, there is something you could help with," I said. "I'm having trouble with my online banking. The website changed and I can't figure out the new layout." Melissa's entire demeanor shifted. "Oh, I can totally help with that. Do you want to log in now? I can show you." "Would you? That would be wonderful." I led her to my computer and opened the bank website, logging into the account I'd left accessible, the one with $500. Let them see that one. Melissa's face went from helpful to confused as she looked at my bank balance. "500? Mom, is this your main account?" "Yes, why?" I played it perfectly innocent. "It's just, that seems low. Do you have other accounts?" "I have my retirement account, but I don't check that one often. Why are you asking about my money, sweetheart?" She backtracked quickly. "No reason, just making sure you're okay financially. You know, with inflation and everything." "I'm fine," I assured her. "Never been better, actually." She left 20 minutes later, and I watched from the window as she sat in her car, phone pressed to her ear, calling Nathan, calling Jessica. The panic was starting. By Friday afternoon, Nathan came home early from work. "Mom, can we talk about your finances?" "Sure, honey, what about them?" "I was thinking maybe we should review them together, make sure everything's in order. When's the last time you checked your retirement account?" "Oh, I don't know. A few months maybe." "Can we look at it together, just to make sure everything's okay?" I logged in. He watched the screen over my shoulder. The balance showed $340,000. He relaxed visibly. He didn't know these were phantom numbers. I'd already moved the actual money. This was just the display before the account officially reflected the transfer. "Looks good, Mom. That's a healthy balance." "Is it? I never know if I have enough." "You have plenty," he said. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then at me. "Mom, I have to run out for a bit. Jessica needs help with something. The emergency meeting. I knew because Linda had prepared me. By Monday, when the transfers officially processed, that $340,000 would show as $0. They'd have the weekend to panic. I spent Saturday morning at Linda's office signing the final documents. New will, new power of attorney, assigned to Linda, not my children, new beneficiaries on everything. It was done. Caroline, Linda said as I prepared to leave, what you're doing is legally sound. But are you emotionally prepared for what comes next? They're going to fight. They're going to say terrible things. They already have, I reminded her. I just didn't know it yet. At least now I'll hear it to my face instead of behind my back. Sunday evening, Nathan burst through the front door. No greeting, no warmth, just fury barely contained. Where is it? He demanded. Where's what, honey? The money, Mom. Don't play games. I checked your account. It's empty. All of them. The retirement account, the savings, everything. Where did you move it? I stood up from the couch slowly. I secured my assets. Why are you checking my accounts, Nathan? Because someone has to. You're clearly not capable of managing them yourself. Really? I kept my voice calm. Based on what evidence? You've been forgetting things, losing things. You need help. Like when I forgot where I parked my car, the car that you moved while I was shopping, or the appointments I supposedly missed that you changed on my phone. His face went white. That's right, I continued. I know everything, every message, every plan, every lie. Before we continue, I need to ask you something. If you're finding this story compelling, if you want to see how this ends, please subscribe to this channel. What happened next was something I never expected. Nathan's mouth opened and closed like a fish, gasping for air. Mom, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't. My voice came out harder than I intended. Don't insult me by lying now. I've seen the messages, all of them. Future plans. What a charming name for a group chat about stealing from your mother. He stepped back. Who told you? Was it that repair shop? Did they hack my computer? You left the files on your laptop, the one I took in for repair because you were too lazy to do it yourself. The technician found them, every message, every spreadsheet, every search for how to declare me incompetent. Mom, please, let me explain. Explain what? How you spent 7 months gaslighting me? Moving my car, spoiling my milk, hiding my pills? Making me think I was losing my mind so you could steal everything I've worked for? The front door opened. Melissa walked in with Jessica. They both stopped when they saw us. What's going on? Melissa asked. She knows, Nathan said flatly. Melissa's face crumbled. Jessica at least had the decency to look ashamed. Caroline, we can explain. Mrs. Mitchell, I corrected coldly. You lost the right to first names, all of you. Mom, please, Melissa's voice cracked. We were scared. We thought you might get sick, might need care, and we wouldn't be able to afford it. We were trying to protect you. By stealing from me? By planning to lock me in a nursing home? We never would have actually done that. Nathan jumped in. It was just talk, just contingency planning. Contingency planning, I repeated. Is that what you call researching how to declare someone mentally incompetent? What you call practicing forging my signature on power of attorney documents? Silence, heavy and damning. Where's the money? Jessica finally asked. If you moved it, you have to tell us where it is. We're your children. We have a right. You have no rights. My voice echoed through the house. You're not on my accounts. You're not in my will. You have absolutely no legal claim to anything I own. Nathan's face turned red. We took care of you. We've been here for you. You've been here to monitor me, to manipulate me, to wait for me to die. I pulled out my phone and opened the photos, screenshots of their messages. Should I read some of these aloud? She's healthy, could live another 20 years. Like it was a problem, like my survival was an inconvenience. Melissa started crying, real tears this time. Mom, we're sorry. We got greedy. We made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to call on my birthday. This was a calculated, methodical plan to rob me. "What do you want from us?" Nathan asked. "You want us to beg?" "Fine, I'm begging. Please don't cut us off. You need nothing from me," I said. "I've given you everything your entire lives. I went without so you could have. And this is how you repay that sacrifice, by treating me like a bank account with an inconvenient pulse." "What are you going to do?" Jessica's voice was small. I looked at each of them, these strangers wearing familiar faces. "I'm going to live my life. Without you." The words hung in the air like smoke after a fire. Nathan recovered first, his fear transforming back into anger. "You can't do this. We're family. You can't just cut us off. Watch me." "We'll fight you," he threatened. "We'll contest whatever you've changed. We'll get lawyers." "Go ahead," I said calmly. "I have an excellent attorney. She's been preparing for exactly that. Every document is ironclad. Every transfer is documented. And I have evidence of your attempted fraud. Do you really want to take this to court? Let a judge see your messages about stealing from your elderly mother?" His jaw clenched. "It was never about stealing. We're entitled to that money eventually anyway. We're your kids." Entitled. I let the word settle. You know what's interesting about that word? You think you're entitled to the rewards of my labor, but you never considered yourselves entitled to honoring me with basic human decency. "That's not fair," Melissa sobbed. "We love you. You love my money. There's a difference." Jessica spoke up, her voice harder than before. "Fine. You want to punish us? Punish us. But don't pretend you're perfect, Caroline. You were always controlling with money, always making us feel like we had to earn your approval. Maybe if you'd been more generous, more willing to help when we needed it." "When you needed it?" I interrupted. "I paid for both of your weddings, gave you down payment money for your first house, co-signed Nathan's car loan when his credit was terrible. I've given and given and given. The one time I said no, one time I told you to build your own financial foundation, you decided that entitled you to forge documents and steal from me?" "We weren't going to steal," Nathan insisted. "We were going to manage it, for your own good." "By selling my house and putting me in a nursing home? Only if you actually got sick. Only if you needed it." "Except you were trying to make me think I was sick. You were creating the problem so you could implement your solution. That's not care. That's abuse." The word hit them like a slap. Melissa's crying intensified. Jessica looked away. Nathan's face flushed deeper. "Mom," Melissa tried one more time. "Please, we made a horrible mistake. Let us make it right. We'll do anything." "There's nothing you can do. The money's gone. Not to you, not to anyone you can reach. I've restructured everything. New accounts, new banks, new beneficiaries. When I die, every cent goes to charity, to help women who are actually struggling, not adults who are simply impatient. You're giving our inheritance to strangers?" Nathan's voice pitched higher. "I'm giving my money to people who deserve it. You're not entitled to anything just because you share my DNA." "This is insane," Jessica said. "You're being vindictive. This is elder abuse. You're not thinking clearly." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Are you really going to try that angle? After everything? I have a lawyer who will testify to my competence. I have evidence that you tried to manufacture incompetence. Good luck with that strategy." "Fine." Nathan's voice went cold. "Have it your way. But don't expect us to be here when you actually do need help, when you're old and alone." "I'm already alone," I said quietly. "I've been alone since you decided I was worth more dead than alive. At least now I know it." They left that night. Nathan packed a bag and moved in with Jessica and Melissa temporarily. I watched from the window as he loaded his car, and I felt nothing. No regret, no sadness, just a strange sense of lightness, like I'd been carrying a weight I didn't know was there until it lifted. The house was quiet that first night. I made myself dinner, just scrambled eggs and toast, and ate at the kitchen table. My phone sat silent beside my plate. No calls, No texts, no one checking on me. I slept better than I had in months. Monday morning, Linda called. They've hired an attorney, James Rothstein. He's aggressive but not particularly clever. He's already making noise about undue influence and mental incompetence. Let him make noise. Caroline, I need you to understand something. This is going to get ugly. They're going to drag your name through the mud. They'll claim you're mentally unstable, vindictive, cruel. They'll tell anyone who'll listen that you're an unfit mother. Let them. Anyone who knows me will know the truth. But what about people who don't? Your reputation. My reputation survived a divorce, single motherhood, and 40 years of people underestimating me. I think I can handle this. The rumors started within days. I heard them at the grocery store, whispered behind hands when people thought I couldn't hear. Heard she went crazy, cut off her whole family. Something about dementia. Barbara, my friend who'd recommended the repair shop, called me in tears. Caroline, Jessica's been calling people, saying you're not well, that you're confused, that they're worried about you. I told her she was full of it, but she's making the rounds. I know, let her. Let her? Caroline, she's trying to destroy your credibility. She's destroying her own. Anyone who believes her without asking me directly isn't worth my concern. 2 weeks later, I received a formal legal notice. Nathan, Melissa, and Jessica were jointly suing for guardianship, claiming I was mentally incompetent and financially vulnerable. They wanted control of my assets for my own protection. Linda and I sat in her office reviewing the filing. It was exactly what we'd expected. They're basing their case on the incidents they manufactured, Linda said. The forgotten appointments, the moved car, the expired milk. They're claiming it shows a pattern of decline. Can they prove I did those things? Or will they have to explain how they know about them? Linda smiled grimly. Exactly. They've trapped themselves. To prove you're incompetent, they'll have to testify about incidents they orchestrated, and we have their messages showing they orchestrated them. The court hearing was set for 6 weeks later. In the meantime, I lived my life. I had lunch with Barbara and 3 other friends, told them everything, showed them the messages. Their support was immediate and fierce. I joined a book club, started taking watercolor classes at the community center, volunteered at the women's shelter twice a week, helping other women who'd been financially abused by family members. My story wasn't unique. It was depressingly common. A paralegal from Linda's office, young woman named Sophie, told me, "My grandmother went through something similar. Her son tried to get power of attorney by convincing her doctor she was depressed. It worked. She lost everything. What happened to her? She died in a state facility 2 years later, alone." "That's not going to be me," I said firmly. "No," Sophie agreed. "It's not." The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Nathan, Melissa, and Jessica sat on one side with their attorney. I sat on the other side with Linda. The judge, a woman in her 60s, named Patricia Hendricks, reviewed the filings with a neutral expression. "This is a guardianship petition," Judge Hendricks began. "The petitioners claim that Caroline Mitchell, age 70, is mentally incompetent and requires legal guardianship to protect her interests. Mrs. Mitchell, how do you respond?" I stood. "Your Honor, I'm perfectly competent. This petition is a retaliatory action because I discovered my children were planning to defraud me." Nathan's attorney jumped up. "Your Honor, that's a serious accusation without basis. My clients have documented concerns about Mrs. Mitchell's cognitive decline." "I have documentation, too," Linda interrupted smoothly. She handed a folder to the bailiff. "Evidence that the petitioners manufactured incidents to create the appearance of incompetence, including digital messages planning the fraud." Judge Hendricks reviewed the messages in silence. Her expression shifted from neutral to disturbed. She looked at Nathan, Melissa, and Jessica. "These messages appear to show premeditation. Explain." Their attorney fumbled. "Your Honor, those messages are taken out of context. They were discussing contingency plans." "Contingency plans that included forgery and gaslighting?" The judge's voice was sharp. Melissa started crying. Nathan stared at his hands. Jessica's face was pale. "Mrs. Mitchell," the judge turned to me, "I'd like to ask you some questions directly. What is today's date?" "November 7th. Who is the current president?" "Kamala Harris." I answered clearly, confidently. I'd been preparing for this. She asked me math problems, memory tests, situational questions. I answered every single one perfectly. Then she asked something unexpected. "Why did you move your assets?" "To protect them from theft. My children were planning to obtain power of attorney through fraud, then liquidate my estate while I was still alive. I secured what was mine." "Did you consult with an attorney before making these changes?" "Yes, Your Honor, Linda Rodriguez. She ensured everything was done legally." "And your current mental state?" "Clear, angry, betrayed, but clear." Judge Hendricks closed the folder. "Petition denied. Mrs. Mitchell has demonstrated complete mental competency. Furthermore, this court finds evidence of attempted elder financial abuse by the petitioners." She looked at Nathan, Melissa, and Jessica. "You should consider yourselves fortunate Mrs. Mitchell hasn't pressed criminal charges. This hearing is concluded." The gavel struck. It was over. Outside the courthouse, Nathan tried one last time. "Mom, please." I walked past him without a word. Linda drove me home. We didn't talk much. What was there to say? That evening, I sat in my backyard with a glass of wine, watching the sunset. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "Mrs. Mitchell? This is Sophie Chen from the Oregon Women's Foundation. We received notification that you've named us as a beneficiary. We wanted to reach out personally to thank you." "You're welcome. Your gift will help so many women. Single mothers, abuse survivors, women starting over. You're changing lives." After we hung up, I sat in the quiet. My children were gone. My money was secure. My future was my own. Some people might call that a tragedy. I called it freedom. The sun set. I stayed outside, breathing in the cool evening air, finally at peace.